What's going on, y'all? I recently changed my name to Dialogue with Dan. We not independent talks no more. People can't spell it. So we dialogue with Dan, man. But that's beside the point. Y'all know what time it is, man. I'm finna get straight into it. That's how I gave y'all an intro. But it's cool though. I'm gonna talk about every single game on the board this weekend. The Thursday game happened already. So we're going to start with my Chicago Bears, man. And we're 3-2. I love my Bears, but I'm going to keep it short and sweet, man. This is a pass for me. Caleb Williams coming off a lot of passing yards. He doesn't really play well the next game as far as passing yards go, so I don't like the yards. I don't like the fact that we're in London where Jacksonville plays every year. It's basically their second home. This is a pass for me, man. I'm the type of guy, if I don't like it and it's my team, I just won't bet it because I'm certainly not gonna bet on Duval County. I don't want to ever put my money on anybody against my Bears. So it's a pass for me, man. If you want a lean for a player prop, it would be Keenan Allen with the receptions, but it's at 4.5. It's still a little high. The reason why I say Keenan Allen is because he's a veteran. You know, he's experienced international football before. But besides that, man, I ain't really rocking with it. Next game, man, another weird game for me. Washington playing Baltimore in Baltimore. Washington has been on fire. Let's just call it like it is. They've been on fire. But if you look at the schedule, they haven't played anybody who I hope you don't consider a top 5, even a top 10 team. I thought the game against the Bengals was an impressive win, but the Bengals, the first 6 games, don't like to win. So I don't know how impressive it really was. We can't deny how amazing Jayden Daniels has been for the team. Very happy for the franchise. You know, I really am. But I don't like this spot on the road against a much better defensive team who essentially is going up against a quarterback who does everything that Jayden Daniels could do except more experienced. Like, he is a running quarterback that can pass the ball. I do think Jayden Daniels' arm is a little better, but that's besides the point. If you were going to bet on anything, I wouldn't touch 6.5 either way because, again, we don't know. We don't really know how good the Commanders are, but we do know that they have a winning record and that they're not losing that much. I would bet on Derrick Henry. I would bet him to get the touchdown. I really like that. He's gotten a touchdown every single game. He's been the #1 running back in the NFL, arguably side by side to Saquon Barkley. But Derrick Henry has been, let's just call it like it is, dominating. He's been absolutely dominating competition. No one can stop him. His worst game was against the Chiefs, and after that, he just took off. I do like them. I don't think Washington can guard anybody. If they had weaknesses, it's definitely on the defensive side. So if you want to bet on Zay Flowers, I don't blame you. I would stay away from Mark Andrews because he don't really get the ball. But, this might be one of those days where everyone gets the ball because of the lack of defense on the Commander's side. But if you want to play it safe, I would do Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. That's minus 300 something, so the odds aren't great. But you can combine it with Derrick Henry rushing yards. It's at 82 if you want to be safe and bring it down to 60 or 50. I don't blame you. But if you leave it at 82, I think that's perfectly fine too. So that play is going to be for Derrick Henry. Regardless of what it is, Derrick Henry's the guy I like. Terry McLaurin has been on fire, but I don't like him against the Baltimore defense. So we just sticking with Derrick Henry for that one. And that's all I'm doing for that game. Next game, we got the Saints against the Bucks. Whew, rivalry game. I remember winning some big money betting on those two teams playing each other a few years back. But anyway, yeah, we got a rivalry here. This game could go either way. I would stay away from the outcome. I really would. I know I've been saying that for the last couple games, but you're going to find a few games that I actually do like with outcomes. However, I do think this is a player prop weekend. If you're a betting man or woman, player props is what you look at. A lot of these matchups, man, I'm not, based on how the season's been going, I'm not liking them. So I'm sticking to my player props, man. I would go with the over on Chris Godwin. He's been playing outstanding. He's been the best receiver on the team. Mike Evans has He's shown signs of possibly taking the lead in that category of top receiving yards, but right now it's Chris Godwin, man, and I like his over. No one's really stopping him on a week-to-week basis. I also like Alvin Kamara on the other end. Alvin Kamara has been a top 3, arguably top 2, but top 3 running back. He also gets his receiving yards. So I would go over on Alvin Kamara. If you don't want to do rushing or you don't want to do receiving, you could do receiving plus rushing. But I like the over on either of those. I'll probably go receiving just because I like the way that they use him in the backfield. And that's pretty much all I'm taking for that game. Chris Olave, I like him, but I don't trust him. Rashid Shaheed, he cool. I don't trust him. He had a great beginning, and then he just stopped getting the ball. I don't know what that was about, but I'm not going to put my money on it. So if you're a betting man, those are the 2 people I like. I like Chris Godwin. I like Alvin Kamara. Next game, and I can't wait to put my money against y'all because I don't like them. They're not good for me. Anytime I bet on them, they fail me miserably. And that's the Cleveland Browns going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I love the Eagles. That is an outcome I do like. 9.5 seems like a lot. Eagles are coming off a bye week. A.J. Brown is back. Saquon Barkley is rested up and ready. I love the Eagles. I really do. I'm not putting my money on Cleveland for the rest of the season. I don't care if Nick Chubb's come back. He going to have to show me. I'm taking the Eagles all the way in this game, -9.5. I'm actually probably going to stay away from the player props because coming off a bye week, Cleveland's defense on the defensive end is not terrible. So I don't know if I want to take 80-something yards with Saquon. I don't know if I trust A.J. Brown in his first game back. I don't know. They are at home, though. So I think as a unit, it will be more than enough to not only beat the Cleveland Browns, but cover the spread. So that's what I like. I like the Philadelphia Eagles, -9.5. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans against the Indianapolis Colts. Weird game, man. Weird game. Rivals. They beat each other. When Derrick Henry was on Tennessee, they used to win and they used to lose all the time. They go back and forth. It's never been a dominant one-sided thing with those 2 teams, no matter who was on the team. I'm staying away, man. I don't like it. Both teams offensively are not good. And the Indianapolis Colts defensively have shown me nothing. Not to mention their quarterback situation is a damn mess. Not to mention Michael Pittman Jr. might not be playing. But on the other end, Will Levis is absolutely horrendous. And I don't want to put my money on him. So I will, if anything, lean towards the player props in that game. Jonathan Taylor is going to be out. That game is a mess. Let's just be honest. I would lean the Titans. In the outcome because they're at home. They have the better defense. They have the more healthy roster at the moment. I would lean the Titans. But if I were to bet on anything, on player props, everything here is a lean, by the way. I don't love anything about this game, not even the player props. I would go Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley is going to have a good game. Or DeAndre Hopkins. I think one of the 2 will get the ball. You choose. Don't blame me if you choose the wrong one. I think one of them will go over. Their receiving yards, both of them is 40-something, so it's not super high. I think all they need is a couple of long catches. And that's what you may be able to get out of Will Levis. Will Levis is not a great passer for a long period of time, but he could throw a couple long balls. We saw him give DeAndre Hopkins like three or four touchdowns in one game when he was subbed in for the first time last year. And that's really all I like for that game, man. But that's another pass outcome-wise. A lean towards Tennessee. But overall, man, I'm not putting my money behind that. I work too hard for my money, all right? Next game, and I love the game. Outcome, player props, you name it, I love it. Houston Texans are playing the New England Patriots. I love Houston. -6.5, I think it's a great spot. It's right before a touchdown. I've been taking it. Me personally, I am taking it. I'm also taking C.J. Stroud over 230, 33, 35 yards in passing. It doesn't matter. I take him up for all 3 numbers. I don't care. Nico Collins is out. It don't matter to me. Joe Mixon's out. It don't matter to me. I'm not betting on Houston to run them down the field on the ground. I'm not betting on that. I'm betting on C.J. Stroud to give Tank Dell the best night he's had so far, best day, excuse me, that he's had so far. It's a perfect spot for Tank Dell to show us that he is the best third option in the NFL. And he hasn't really had anything because his workload hasn't been great. Not because he's bad, not because he can't play. The man can play. We've seen him play. But he hasn't had too much to do. You know, he's surrounded by a lot of talent. So I think this is a perfect spot. I would lean towards Dalton Schultz with the over as well. I think that's in 40-something. Another good spot for him to do his thing because he hasn't had to pretty much the whole season as well, with Nico Collins taking up most of the load and Stephon Diggs. So I like Tank Dell. That is my favorite pick. I would lean over on 235 yards with C.J. Stroud. And I do like -6.5 if you want to do money line and parlay it with other things just to be safe. I get it. I understand the NFL is fluky, goddamn. Next game. This is going to be a very fun game to watch. This is one of those games where I like so many things, I might just exclude all other games and make a ticket with just this game. Outcome, not so much. I think the Packers are going to win, but that's a lean. Just being at home, I think they're going to win, but that's a lean. Player props, man. It's a few in there that I like. Marvin Harrison, he's the first one. I like his over. It's at 50-something. I definitely like the over. I like Kyler Murray, over. It's at 213. That's low as hell. I like that. I like the over on that. Let's see. Trey McBride. That's a lean. That's a lean. It's a lean. I don't hate it, but it's a lean. If you want to take it, I don't blame you. Probably receptions over yards. But I do like that. I do like that. Jayden Reed, another one. Didn't really have an amazing game last game like we are accustomed to him having so far this year when Jordan Love's been healthy. But I like his over. It's in the 60s, low 60s. I think it's a perfect spot for Jayden Reed to do his thing. Arizona's defense is not anything to worry about, at least in the secondary. And I also think that James Conner is going to do his thing because on the ground, the Packers give up a whole lot of yards. Now, I'm not saying he's Saquon, but we saw what Saquon did against them, and it wasn't pretty. So I think James Conner can get his over. It's at 71. If you want to parlay all these things and bring them down by 20, I don't blame you. It's smart. Put like $50 on it, you still profit. $100 on it, you still profit. But I like a lot of player props in that game, man. But most of all, enjoy it, man. That's going to be a fun one. That is going to be a fun one. Next game, it's going to be interesting. I'm staying away from the outcome for the most part. All right, let me say the game first before I get ahead of myself. All right, so we've got the Denver Broncos going up against the Chargers. Like I said, I'm staying away for the most part, but I am definitely leaning towards the Chargers. I'm going to tell you why. The Broncos have won the last 3 games. The Raiders, the Bucks, the Jets, they beat all 3 of them. They're playing very well. They are playing very, very well. But damn, they gotta be tired. The Chargers coming off a bye week. They all rested up. They got all their guys. They're young. I think the Chargers can definitely win that game, especially on the ground. The Broncos, as we know, is one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best, as far as secondary goes. The running defense ain't bad either. But I don't like the Broncos to win 4 in a row. I'm not ready to say that with a straight face. The Broncos have won 4 in a row. I'm not saying that's the reason to take the Chargers, but I think that this is a good spot for the Chargers to win. Rested, young, on the ground. They kind of don't really play the type of style that the Broncos dominate in defensively. They don't really dominate in the style that the Chargers have, which is being on the ground for the most part. They don't do a whole lot of passing. Sure, Lab McConkey, whoever, gets the ball every now and then. But yeah, I would lean towards the Chargers in this one. But other than that, it's a stay away from me. I don't really like anybody's player props in that game. Next game, we got my boy, Justin Fields, going up against the sad Vegas Raiders, man. I like a few of their players, but man, that team is sad. Devontae Adams is leaving. But I do like Brock Bowers on that team. I think he's played very well. He's going to be a very good tight end in this league. I think so. There's a lot of longevity for Brock Bowers. And I said that. That's why I drafted him in a couple of my leagues, actually. But let's get to it, man. I like Pittsburgh. I'm not saying it's a lean. I'm not saying it's a love, but I like Pittsburgh. I really do. I'm not putting my money on the Raiders anymore, man. I don't like the running. I don't like the running game. I don't really like the passing game. The Steelers defense is dominant. It really is top 5 defense. I don't think that there's too much here to talk about, but I will give you a couple of my player props that I do like. Justin Fields to get over 40.5 rushing yards. I think he can definitely do that. He's been doing it most of his career for the Bears. I watched it. I seen it with me own 2 eyes. I like Justin Fields over 40.5 rushing yards. And the last thing I like is George Pickens over 3.5 receptions. It's a little low. I'll take that. Minus 146 odds or something like that. I will take that. I think that is a good spot for George Pickens, especially after not having the greatest game last Sunday. But the Raiders are nothing to worry about. Next game, we got the Falcons in Carolina. Now, I will never come to y'all and tell y'all that I love Carolina in a game because I just won't do it. It's kind of like saying I love New England or the Browns, for crying out loud. Yeah, I'm on the Browns real bad because goddamn they be screwing us. But anyway, I don't love Carolina. But I do think that spread is something to talk about. It's a division game. Carolina actually plays Atlanta very well historically. Atlanta's coming off some pretty big games, some pretty tiring games, long games, close games. And I think Atlanta edges them. But do they cover? Not so sure. Don't really like the spread. If you want to make a bet on some of the player props. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, money. You hear me? Money. Especially Darnell Mooney. That man gets the ball every single week. And as a Bears fan, it's very sad to see these players flourish outside of the Bears because that tells me how much my organization needs to improve as a whole, not the players. But I'm happy for Darnell Mooney because, man, he was getting a whole lot from me while he was on the Bears. So that's what I like. I like Darnell Mooney, or I like Drake London. If you want to go and put some money on Kirk Cousins with the passing yards, do that too. That boy has been putting in work. Just 2 games ago, when he had 500 yards, that man is doing something. And I said that Kirk Cousins is going to be a big test for him if he can come to a team that doesn't have bona fide superstars and play the way he's playing, and he's not disappointing. We'll see what happens in the postseason, but so far I like what I see from Kirk Cousins. So those 3 guys I do like. Again, I would stay away from the spread. It's a little high. If you want to buy some points and put it at like 2.5, I would like that a whole lot better. Next game, Detroit against the Cowboys. I'm going to keep it simple. I like Detroit. I really do. I know it's in Dallas, but I like Detroit. Dallas has not showed me anything with their defense this year. And that is a little weird to say considering they've been one of the most dominant defensive teams in the regular season for the past plethora of years. But this year, not so much. I love Amon-Ra. Coming off a bye week, Amon-Ra, fresh, feeling good, not injured. I love Amon-Ra over 76.5 yards, something like that. Anything around there. I love Amon-Ra with the over. I think Jared Goff is also going to have a very good game. You got to watch out for it. As long as they block Micah Parsons and whoever else they need to block, he will get his receivers the ball in this game. I also think that this is the game where Sam Laporta shows us why he was a top 3 tight end, arguably top 2 tight end last year. And he picks it up. I think it's time for Sam Laporta to pick it up. People are panicking, trying to trade him. I know the people in my fantasy leagues are like, Sam Laporta, what's going on with him? Let's get rid of him. Nah, I still believe in you, Sam Laporta. Those are 2 guys that I think that are going to have a good game. Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra. But my favorite bet of that game is absolutely Amon-Ra St. Brown, the superstar receiver on the Detroit Lions, to do his thing. Next game. This is also one of my favorite outcomes of the day. The Giants very much surprised me last week with no Malik Neighbors. I guess Wan'Dale Robinson was enough to beat Seattle. That says a lot about where Seattle really is, despite all the hype, all the defense. that was a very humbling game for Seattle. I don't understand it, but hey, go Daniel Jones. I am a Danny Dimes fan, always have been. However, I like the Bengals, man. If they don't win, they're absolutely not making the playoffs. Let's just be honest. It's about time they turn their season around. They always have rough starts, but I think this is the roughest I've seen in a long time. Since Joe Burrow's actually been in the NFL, I don't think they've been this bad. I don't remember them being 1-4 or 1-5. I don't remember it being that bad. So they absolutely have to win this game. They've been actually playing very well offensively. T. Higgins has been doing the damn thing. Jamar Chase has been getting the ball, and Burrow has been very, very accurate in his throwing. So I like all three of them actually on their over. T. Higgins is at 50-something. Jamar Chase at 70-something. I don't think that's too high for either of them. And no one on the Giants is going to do anything about it. So give me them. But also, I do like the Bengals to win the game. So if you want to bet the spread or you want to bet the money line and parlay with other things, as long as it's not over a touchdown, I do like the Bengals to win the game. Final game, man. Monday Night Football. We got the Jets against Buffalo. And oh boy, has this Jets team been an absolute mess, and I didn't expect it. I don't know if they're going to get Devontae Adams, but I do know this team currently constructed the way it is, the way that Breece Hall's playing, the way that their defense is not playing, the way that their offensive line is supposed to be. It's bad. It's bad right now, and they just fired their coach, so we'll see if that turns anything around. Guess what? I like the Jets. I do. I really do. I think that the coach being fired is a fresh start. They're at home. I think this is a good spot for Breece Hall to do better. He hasn't been playing very well, but he's been playing really good defenses. Y'all calm down. He played Minnesota and Denver for crying out loud. They both are good on the ground. They are both good defensive teams. Hence why they are playing as well as they are playing, especially Minnesota. So give me the Jets. But I actually think Breece Hall is going to go over in his rushing this week. I think that this is a perfect spot for them with Buffalo coming into this week, one of the worst defensive teams on the ground in the NFL currently for this week. So yeah, that's what I like. I like the Jets and I like Breece Hall on the over.